my name is Dr. Maurice Pitesky, and welcome to episode 19 of the Sitch, a monthly show from the UC Davis School of Veterinary Medicine, Cooperative Extension. So today we're going to talk about highly pathogenic avian influenza, or what is sometimes commonly referred to as the bird flu. So first off, why are we talking about avian influenza in May of 2022? So the reason is we're currently dealing with the first major outbreak of highly pathogenic avian influenza since 2015. And while the current strain of highly pathogenic avian influenza, or HPAI, is different from that 2015 strain, the results with respect to the number of dead domestic poultry are similar. So currently, there have been about 38 million commercial and backyard birds from 35 states that have either died or been euthanized. So what do we need to know about this most foul disease? At the simplest level, bird flu is an influenza virus. Yes, birds get influenza just like humans and many other animals. The primary source of new bird flu viruses are waterfowl like ducks and geese. And because of their migratory nature and how viruses evolve, every year new viruses are carried and potentially introduced to other species of animals, including domestic birds like chickens and even humans. From the bird's perspective, we divide up bird flu into two classes: the highly pathogenic avian influenza that we're dealing with now, and low pathogenic avian influenza. The practical difference between the highly pathogenic and the low pathogenic avian influenza is that the highly pathogenic causes much higher mortality, aka death, while the low pathogenic has decreased mortality. It should be noted that some, but not all, low pathogenic avian influenzas have the potential to mutate into highly pathogenic avian influenzas. Regardless of virus being low path or high path, the following are true for all avian influenza viruses. They're highly infectious. Infection can result in the death of your flock. There is no cure, not even apple cider vinegar, and there is no vaccine that's currently available. Interestingly, most waterfowl are not affected by the virus, meaning they don't get sick as carriers. So this means that infected waterfowl, such as ducks or geese, can appear healthy and continue to migrate, all while shedding the virus through their droppings and respiratory secretions. Consequently, any contact between infected material and poultry can transmit disease. In our chickens, bird flu can cause a range of symptoms that include any or all of the following: inflamed head with bluish combs, respiratory distress, diarrhea, bleeding in the feet or legs, weakness, reduced feed and water intake, or just sudden death. In egg-laying hens, a severe drop in egg production and or soft or misshapen eggs may also be observed. However, it's important to recognize that these symptoms are not pathognomonic, which is just a fancy way of saying if you observe any of the above symptoms that I just described, there are other diseases for which those could also be the clinical signs associated with that disease. Therefore, if your birds show any of the above mentioned symptoms, reach out to a veterinarian for guidance. So what can we do about the current outbreak? So because of the seriousness of avian influenza and how common it is becoming, it's our responsibility to do our part in preventing transmission to our domestic chickens. So what does that mean? The following are highly recommended biosecurity practices. And biosecurity, which we've talked about, is basically just the practice of making sure things from the outside don't get into our coop. So here's a few things that might be helpful in order to prevent avian influenza from moving into your backyard coop, potentially. So discourage your birds from interacting with wild birds and vice versa by confining your birds to their coop and enclosure. If that's not possible, considering you should have a very rigorous cleaning routine to prevent your birds from interacting with any kind of fomites left behind from wild birds. If possible, house your birds away from open water sources where waterfowl may congregate. Waterfowl like water, so make sure that your birds are not close to any of those type of sources. Do not share, exchange animals, equipment, or feed with fellow bird owners. Make sure you quarantine new flock additions for at least 2 weeks and look for any signs of disease before allowing those new birds into your established flock. Frequently monitor your birds and isolate suspected sick birds right away to prevent the disease from spreading. And finally, if their contact with waterfowl is made, through cleaning. Make sure you have thorough cleaning and disinfection of your clothing and shoes and even your vehicle to make sure that that disease is not transmitted from your coop to any other surrounding coops. The good thing about everything I just described to you is that that's going to help you protect your flock, not just against avian influenza, but also against other infectious diseases that are out there and are consistently out there. So thanks again for listening. And if there are topics you would like covered in future episodes of the Sitch, please reach out to Dr. Cluck at ucdavis.edu. Thanks. Bye.